In Maine and throughout the country, trucks move almost everything that makes the economy thrive. The trucking industry has placed tremendous emphasis on the safety of its equipment and the professionalism of its drivers, and this emphasis has produced significant results.
In fact, since the Department of Transportation started collecting data back in 1975, the trucking industry is the safest it's ever been. But it's always looking to improve. Now, people throughout Maine think that a good way to improve safety is to keep commercial truck traffic on Maine's interstate as much as possible, instead of forcing them onto secondary roads and through our towns. But we need Congress's help.
In 2010, a federal pilot project was authorized. This project allowed six-axle trucks weighing from 80,000 to 100,000 pounds to use Maine's interstate highways rather than restricting them to secondary roads. As you'll see, the pilot project delivered substantial improvements in safety, efficiency, and productivity. Yet, at the end of 2010, the authorization was allowed to expire and trucks were forced to go back to driving secondary roads. According to the Maine Department of Public Safety, during the pilot project there were 14 fewer crashes involving six-axle trucks on Maine roads, a 10% improvement. While six-axle 100,000-pound trucks weigh more, they are no longer, wider, or taller than the most common trucks on the interstate. They simply add hauling capacity while adding a sixth axle for a lighter footprint, which also adds another set of brakes to improve safety.
During 2010, the safety of all Maine's roads improved significantly, and there's little wonder why. In fact, one Maine trucking company made 2 trips from Hamden to Holton, one using secondary roads, the other using the interstate. The safety impacts are impressive.
The interstate trip met 644 fewer oncoming vehicles, 9 fewer school crossings, 4 fewer hospitals, 4 fewer railroad crossings, 10 fewer school buses, 30 fewer traffic lights, and 86 fewer crosswalks. In the Maine Department of Transportation's analysis of crashes involving six-axle trucks, they found that the crash rate on secondary roads is about twice the rate of those occurring on the interstate. The fatal crash rate on secondary roads is about 7 times the rate of those occurring on the interstate. The economic severity of crashes on secondary roads averages nearly 5 times more than those occurring on the interstate.
Simply put, commercial truck traffic and all Maine's motorists and passengers are safer with six-axle trucks off Maine's secondary roads and on the interstate.
Efficiency and productivity improved during the pilot project as well. In the example of the trip from Hamden to Holton, the truck that was able to travel on the interstate saved 50 minutes of travel time and almost 10 gallons of fuel for just one trip. Less fuel consumed equals fewer emissions equals improved air quality.
Another important fact is that Maine's employers who use trucks to provide them with raw materials and to ship freight are at a competitive disadvantage.
Surrounding states and Canadian provinces allow higher weight limits on their highways. Maine's restrictions make it hard for us to compete. While most of Maine's interstates are restricted to 80,000 pounds, New Hampshire allows 99,000 pounds, Canada over 100,000 pounds, and Massachusetts 99,000 pounds. Increasing Maine's truck weight limits has bipartisan support from business, government, and citizen groups throughout Maine.
Maine DOT supports 100,000-pound six-axle vehicles on the interstate system. We designed to even a higher standard than what the national standard, the AASHTO standard, is.
Maine's pilot project confirmed what we already knew. It is safer for trucks to be on the interstate system versus Maine's secondary roads. It only makes sense to make this permanent.
So, what can you do? Contact Senators Collins and Snow, as well as Representatives Michoud and Pingree, and thank them for their support on this very important issue. They need our encouragement to fend off senseless attacks by out-of-state special interests and to continue their efforts to make Maine's roads safer by putting all six-axle trucks back on the interstate where they belong.